on an all-new Dr. Phil.
A dog sitting trip gone horrifically wrong.
I was immediately brought down to the ground. I didn't think I had a chance to survive.
He ripped off my scalp. He didn't maul her. There was no blood.
You say she's just exaggerating this and there was no blood?
No, I gave her a paper towel.
That's skull. That's bone. You don't fix that with a paper towel. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today is going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
Get ready to take care of you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You know, a dog can be your best friend, a loyal companion, comforting, loving, and at times a protector. But who's to blame when a protective dog crosses the line and becomes aggressive, becomes dangerous, goes on the attack? Is it the owner's fault or is the canine to blame? Dog attacks have been increasing over the past 10 years, and sadly, many of those incidences have turned into catastrophic news headlines. Let's take a look.
We want to go now to a developing story. 2 separate dog attacks in our area. One that has left a man in critical condition.
And in the other, a 12-year-old was attacked after getting off a school bus.
A man now in critical condition after he was mauled by 2 pit bulls. Home surveillance shows 2 pit bulls approach the man as he tries to shoo them away, and they begin to attack. An attack so vicious, we won't show it.
It's a neighborhood in fear. Cops say at least 6 times a man's dogs have gotten out and attacked, sending some victims to the hospital.
The disturbing video shows a terrified man swinging a large pipe, trying to fend off a pack of dogs. So far, 6 neighbors have been attacked, 4 of them hospitalized.
Very terrifying. I turned and I saw them coming, and they just all jumped on me.
A 4-year-old boy was mauled to death by multiple dogs while walking down a street with his mom in Detroit, Michigan.
89-year-old woman attacked by 2 dogs last week has died of her injuries.
4 days ago, this 61-year-old mail carrier, who'd only been on the job for a year, was mauled to death by a pack of dogs.
A 4-year-old boy is in the ICU after being attacked by a dog.
His dad says the 4-year-old may need speech therapy because of the severe injury he sustained just below his ear, right along the jawline.
3-year-old Ronan is slowly recovering after she was viciously attacked by a dog inside an Old Town Spring restaurant Saturday afternoon.
It was instantaneous. There was a massive pit bull there in a service vest, and he just lashed out at her. And I don't want anybody else's child, anybody else's baby, husband, wife, whoever, to go through this, what we're going through right now.
Well, as you can see, dog attacks are real. And Terry says that nearly a year and a half ago, she went over to her friend Belina's house and out of the blue was attacked by her dog, Havoc. Now, I do want to warn you, some of these images you're going to see today are graphic.
My name is Terry Angel, and I was attacked by a pit bull in 2021. My life has been a complete nightmare, to say the least, since that day. On September 17th, I was visiting a friend in her home. While I was there, her pit bull, Havoc, attacked me for no reason and without warning. He ripped off my scalp, and when I fell to the floor, the attack continued. I had no idea that the trauma would continue for over a year in court. The city where the attack occurred filed a petition to have Havoc euthanized due to the dangerous nature. Havoc was finally put down in January. The case has been a hot topic on social media, dragging my name through the mud, portraying me as the villain and Havoc as the victim, and I'm here to set the record straight.
Well, Terry, this was really traumatic for you at the time. You knew this dog.
Yes.
And you didn't have any precursors to this. You didn't see this coming at all.
No, not at all.
All right. And you got first bitten on top of the head.
Yes. Well, when I first walked in the front door, he grazed my arm, but he was on the couch, so it was kind of, I wasn't sure if it was his, if I just I wasn't sure what happened, really. So,
But when he really attacked you, it was after that, right?
Yeah.
And how did he get to the top of your head?
Well, I was leaned up against the hospital bed, and he had followed me when I got there, with his toy, but I had a bad feeling. So he jumped on the bed, and then he jumped down, and then he jumped back up, and then he was right.
Yeah. And your friend had been injured and had a hospital bed there temporarily to be in a hospital bed, right? And you were sitting on the bed?
I was leaned up against, with my backside to the...
Yeah, leaned up against it?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what triggered the dog? You have no idea?
No, and he can't tell us.
And how did your friend initially react to your injuries?
Well, we were both, she seemed upset, concerned, but then after, it was really in cover-up mode, and...
She tried to play it down?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. But at the time, both of you were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because they were...
Horrific.
Yeah, and you went to the hospital.
Yeah.
And how much of your scalp was ripped off?
5 by 6 area was ripped off, and then where it ripped, so it would have been like a 5 by 10.
Yeah, and we have this blurred, so y'all don't throw up. And this was down to the skull, right?
Yes, they couldn't reattach it.
There was no way to reattach it. So how did they treat it?
Well, when they came in, they had offered me 2 options. The surgeon, that they could fly me to Erlanger, where they could look at under a microscope and find it'd be like 1% chance or less if they found one live blood vessel to reattach it. So the second option was to staple it up, send me home, and let it drain some tissue so they could do a skin graft. And that's what they did 2 weeks later.
So they had to do a skin graft. And where did they harvest the skin from?
My
The hip?
thigh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's not fun.
No, it's not at all.
And you also got ultimately bitten on the arm with puncture wounds on the arm. And how deep were those?
It went all the way through.
Yeah, we could see that. How did the dog ultimately get under control?
Well, he didn't. Actually, when I was laying on the floor, I think she said run, so she may have just grabbed him for a second. And I jumped up and I ran into it was like 2 steps, a door, and I grabbed the door, and it wasn't unhinged. So I just held it in front of me, and I put my knee up against it and held my head, and I just kept saying, I'm going to pass out, I'm going to pass out. And I thought, I've always heard you just punch them in the face or something, or poke them in the eye. So I thought, I'm either going to just put my arm down and punch him in the face, or I'm just going to lay down with this door on top of me and let him get my arms. Okay. And then she grabbed a hold of him, and then that's when...
Did she get him into another room?
Yes, and he was still trying to come through that door to get me.
So he was banging against the door?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we spoke to Valina, and she claims that you trespassed, and that's why the dog attacked you. But this was your friend.
Yes, and we talked for 5 minutes before I got there.
And she knew you were coming.
Yes. I don't go in people's houses.
You were welcomed to the home. You were not an intruder.
No.
Okay. So how long did this take you to get physically repaired and back to normal? As normal as you can be. I'm using that term advisedly from a physical standpoint.
Physically, I'm still, I still have a lot of, I don't know if it's phantom pain, a lot of pain, but mentally, emotionally.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, that's physical, and then there's the mental, emotional, and when you've been under an attack like that, you consider this a savage attack, and are you still impacted by it, mentally and emotionally?
Absolutely.
How are you around dogs?
Well, my son is a canine officer, so I'm around dogs, and it's just, I don't think I'll ever be okay. I just don't look at them.
Okay. Your son's a canine officer? Okay. Well, what's he tell you about it?
Well, he'll say, Mother, he's not even close to you.
Okay. Now, you say that you consider yourself to have PTSD with regard to dogs,
Yes.
particularly if they're barking or being aggressive or tugging or whatever. Okay, well, Valina claims none of this would have happened if Terry hadn't come over unannounced and provoked the dog. So we're going to talk to her when we come back. You say that she's exaggerating this, and you say there was no blood?
No, I gave her a paper towel. If she was worried about passing out or all that, I would be calling the medics.
And later, Jacqueline was hired to dog sit. She says when she arrived at the home, 2 of the dogs dragged her inside and nearly killed her. How many times were you bitten?
I had over 800 bites on my body.
I can't show these pictures to the audience. This
I mean,
matches,
when did that happen?
I'm assuming it happened in the same time that
No, because
that's skull, that's bone under there.
He pulled it.
Yeah.
He pulled it. He did. But when I turned around, when I said his name, Havoc, because first I said Terry, like in a crazy way, and I knew. When I looked back, I saw in his eyes. I knew he was scared or thought I was hurt. I mean, this dog and I have been through a lot.
Oh, I'm sure. When I had to, when Robin and I had to lose our other dog before this one, it was terrible, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that. But you shouldn't have a skin graft. You don't fix that with a paper towel. It's just
Well,
a skin
I mean,
graft.
that's just what I gave.
This is a picture of the skin graft that they had to harvest from her leg.
I don't know what to say. I mean, I hate that it happened, but you can only do so much to a dog. Like, first, you come through our house, and we don't even know you're there or coming. And then, you know, she reached behind me and put her elbow on his tail. I mean, he'd put up with all that. And she'd been in my house 15 minutes before anything ever happened. And if you're scared of him, why did you sit right beside him?
Well, I don't think you were scared of him, were you? And you say that there wasn't any blood. Here's an excerpt of a statement given by a friend that helped clean up your house. Valina called me and said something really bad has happened. The house looked so messed up, like a struggle had happened. The floor had a good bit of blood in front of Valina's bed and on the couch. A hand towel covered in blood. There was blood and streaks of blood in different spots on the door. It looked like it would be in a movie, like someone running from their killer and getting caught and trying to grasp the door.
I don't know who wrote that, but I guess someone that she paid, like she paid a lot of people to say things.
Well, here's an excerpt from a statement from Terry's friend Tammy. This is Terry's friend. On September 17th, got a call from Terry saying, come and get her from our friend, Valina's house, so you know her too.
Yeah.
I saw Terry sitting with her scalp and hair in her hand, and there was blood everywhere. She was in shock. Her lips were blue, and her face was white as a ghost. Valina never asked how Terry was, and she kept saying to tell them it was not her dog.
I probably did say that.
Yeah. Well, and I can understand you wanting to protect your dog.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
This is how I feel. I feel like if I come to your house and I don't knock on your door and I'm intruding in your home and I hurt your dog, if your dog bit me, I'm the intruder. I'm in the wrong because the home's as far as you can go. You can't go any further. I hate that it happened.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
It doesn't seem like you do.
I really do. I really do.
It's an additional insult to have it trivialized and denied, as opposed to saying, I'm sorry.
And that's what I'm saying.
It doesn't sound like. Closed captioning provided by. I'm trained in psychology, but and including some animal psychology. But when we get a dog, which we only do when we lose a dog, is I get a professional trainer to come, and they sometimes take the dog and keep the dog for a period of time. Then they come back and work with us at home. And even though I understand the psychological principles, I bring in a top level expert to train our dogs, and then they work with us at the house. And because I think a dog's behavior is owned by the owner.
Yeah,
I think it's very important that the owner take responsibility for their dog.
Oh, I do. And I wish they would have charged me instead of him.
And in fact, joining us is celebrity pet trainer and behaviorist Josh Leverett. And he's the star of the Netflix show Canine Intervention and founder of Cali Canine. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome, Dr. Phil.
Am I looking at this right, or am I looking at it wrong?
I mean, you're looking at it right. Sounds like there's a little bit of denial going on. We definitely have to be responsible for our animals. Yes. And if anybody who's at a house for 15 minutes is not a stranger. Right. So, I definitely think that there was some warning signs. Like she said, she got kind of pushed at with her arm. That was an initial little warning shot. And then, to get in, and there's just no way that kind of damage can be done. And it's just a paper towel type of situation, like you said.
It was behind me. So, I had to turn. It is my fault, but I don't know how I could have stopped. I could have changed things. I mean, it had never happened before. That was the first time ever. And I was tripped out too. But it is my fault because I guess I should have I don't know how I could have changed that situation.
It's not your fault because it wasn't your intent, but it is your responsibility because the dog is your responsibility, just like our dogs are our responsibility. And that's why we spend time getting them trained and then working with the trainers. And, they're still not perfect, but I think that it's traumatic to you to have that happen. It's not like you sick the dog on her. That's not what we're saying.
No.
It's traumatic to you for it to happen, but it's kind of an additional insult to have it trivialized and denied, as opposed to saying, look, hey, it happened. I hate that, and I'm sorry.
And that's what I'm saying.
But it doesn't sound like.
No, I really am. I really am. I really am. I hate that it happened.
Have you said that to her?
Yeah, she knows that.
How would I know that?
I mean, Terry, we talked. I mean, I have messages you wrote. I don't want to have it to die. Okay.
Right after.
I mean, but Terry, you know.
I mean, you were there. You saw.
We were both
there. It was
there.
pretty horrific.
We were both there, and if you
pretty
tell
horrific.
The truth,
it was.
If you will tell the truth, I've already lost him. He's already gone. Why did you keep pushing? I mean,
It is a law. It's a law.
Only in Alabama. Okay, there's two sides to that law. Which side?
If a dog attacks and causes serious physical injury and/or death, the dog is euthanized.
Okay.
There's no.
Well, right now the court.
There's
no
more additional
still
training.
ongoing in the United States Supreme Court.
It's over.
It's not.
Look, you lost your dog, and that's painful.
It's awful, and I lost my mom 2 days later.
And I'm sorry for your loss with your mom. Of course, I am, and I'm sorry that you lost your dog.
Yeah, me too. I fought hard, but I never denied it.
Well, it kind of sounds like when you trivialize it that you deny it, and you could take a different approach to this and maybe work together on it, but that wasn't your approach to it. But you have to be responsible for what's happening. There are these people that don't take responsibility for their dogs, And there's only so much you can do. And if you train a dog and you do everything you can, then I don't think there's a bad breed of dog. I think you have to just do what you have to do. And
he was the judge had told my brother had to carry the dog to the animal hospital that I had to pay for. And he had told my brother that, look, I'm going to give her 10 hours training with a dog. And before the judge could get the thing out, the dog come up missing, stolen. Okay, I've already beat that. I did not, how could I really? I'm not even able to walk. But I had a $500 reward, and I did find Havoc at the end. And he was turned over to the police at my mom's.
This became very emotional. You got death threats. You got hate mail for saying, filing a complaint about the dog. And
I've not asked nobody to do anything like that.
I'm not saying you did, but I think people heard the story. And
I can tell you this. Every time that somebody writes about my dog on Facebook, she'll right then ask them to be her friend and write them a message and send them all these pictures. She does that to everybody. Everybody.
Send them facts.
Everybody.
Facts from the trial.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do that. I don't try to discredit her. I don't try to ruin her character. She's dragged me through the mud, but I wouldn't do her this way.
Well,
I am responsible for the dog.
Well, I hope you recognize that owners are responsible for their dogs, and I don't think it's credible to say there wasn't any blood and this wasn't serious. I mean, this was very serious. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it wasn't it turned out to be worse than I thought. But at the beginning, like when I picked up the piece, I know it was, I did that. I was freaked out too. He had never done anything like that. I mean, I was scared.
Some dogs that aren't properly trained and controlled by their owners can get way out of hand. And y'all listen to what we do the rest of this show, and maybe you'll think things turned out the way they should, because it could get worse. We're going to meet a woman who survived after being bitten hundreds of times by 2 dogs. She was hired to dog sit 3 dogs. And her miraculous story of survival is, it's really humbling, actually, the courage of this young woman. We'll be right back.
I was set to dog sit for 3 dogs. I opened the front door and 2 of the 3 dogs immediately attacked me.
Closed captioning provided by...
This is a story about what happened to 22-year-old Jacqueline Duran, a college student and an experienced dog sitter in North Texas. She was mauled by 2 dogs. It happened on a dog-sitting trip gone horrifically wrong.
I see her feet right there.
First responder body camera video shows the 2 dogs who attacked her, holding the police at bay, leaving Jacqueline agonizing for help.
We can't make entry because of the dogs.
The dogs, in the instant after she opened the door, were not like the lovely dogs Jacqueline said she had met once before.
Ma'am, can you hear me? Are you the only one inside?
The dogs dragged you from the front door to the living room.
Yes.
From the time police arrived, 37 minutes passed before first responders felt safe going in.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Go, 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 go.
A medic rescued Jacqueline and ran out with her.
I thought I was gonna die.
Well, just over 1 year ago, Jacqueline was hired to dog sit for a family with 3 dogs. Now, she says when she arrived at the home, she was attacked by 2 of the dogs who dragged her inside the home and nearly killed her. Since then, she's had 18 reconstructive and life-saving surgeries and still has many more to go. I do want to warn you, some of these images are graphic.
I was set to dog sit for 3 dogs. I opened the front door and 2 of the 3 dogs immediately attacked me and targeted my face, and I had hundreds of bites all over my body. I was in a coma for 8 days. I'm set to have my 18th surgery.
We're on our way to my next appointment with my surgeon.
Bye. I will need more eyelid surgeries, more lid surgeries. I will need to get cranial implants for prosthetic ears, more nose surgeries, and my face can function better. Surgeries are less and less often, but I still have many more to go. It's not easy to deal with this lifestyle right now. Yeah, it's not easy.
Well, Jacqueline, I'm so glad to meet you and so glad you're here.
It's so nice to meet you.
And I mean, I'm so glad you're here at two different levels. I'm glad you're here to talk about this, and I'm glad you're anywhere at this, because what you've been through is really hard to wrap your head around. How many times were you bitten?
I don't have recollection of how many times, but I had over 800 bites on my body.
800 bites?
Yes.
And how long did this go on?
I don't have any recollection of time.
And do they have any estimation from the time you got there until you were discovered? And how were you discovered?
I was discovered because the door was left open.
A neighbor saw the door open, right?
The alarm system notified the owners.
Okay.
And they asked the neighbor to check on the house.
Okay.
And when she went over there, she got bit twice by one of the dogs and rushed back over to her house and told her husband to call 911.
Okay.
And that's how they came to the house.
Did they know that you were in there?
I believe the owner told the neighbor that they had a dog sitter and they weren't sure if I was there. They pushed the door open with their heads, and I was immediately brought down to the ground.
Did you believe they were going to kill you?
This is a story about what happened to 22-year-old Jacqueline Duran, an experienced dog sitter in North Texas. She was mauled by 2 dogs. A medic rescued Jacqueline and ran out with her.
I opened the front door and 2 of the 3 dogs immediately attacked me and targeted my face, and I had hundreds of bites all over my body. I was in a coma for 8 days. I'm set to have my 18th surgery. I will need more eyelid surgeries, more lid surgeries. I will need to get cranial implants for prosthetic ears, more nose surgeries, and my face can function better.
Jacqueline, I'm so glad to meet you and so glad you're here. What you've been through is really hard to wrap your head around. How many times were you bitten?
I had over 800 bites on my body.
800 bites.
They pushed the door open with their heads, and I was immediately brought down to the ground.
You know, I've been a student of human nature all my life, and the will to live, the will to survive is something that is it's different in different people. And you see certain people that have astounding courage in the face of overwhelming odds. And you may not feel that way, but I can tell you there are a lot of people that would never have come out of that alive. And you are a courageous young woman. Now, since that day, she's been documenting her recovery and says she still has a long way to go. And you can look here at what she's been through in terms of the reconstructive surgeries in April 22, July 22, August, and February 23. And you say you've had 18 surgeries?
18 surgeries.
Since the attack? And do they have any estimate of how many more you'll have to go through?
They don't know the number of surgeries, but they assume 1 to 2 more years.
of just going through it. And tell me, what kind of conversation do you have with yourself to get up for these surgeries each time? What do you say to yourself about that?
I tell myself that when I come out of anesthesia, I'm going to look different or I'm going to feel better because I'm just one step closer to being restored as much as I can be.
Right.
And I have full faith in my surgeons, and I put it in their hands to take care of me, and so I put the trust in them.
Mm-hmm. When you go through a surgery, then you have the recovery afterwards. And so you're just in constant either getting ready for a surgery or in recovery from a surgery. So do you ever have any time when you're not either immediately getting ready for a surgery or recovering from one? Do they ever give you any downtime to just be?
I do. The process is usually, recently it's been 4 months in between surgeries.
Okay.
So as of the time that I got this skin flap on my face, it was July, and I didn't get another surgery until December. And now I'm going to get one in March.
Okay. So that was the longest interval.
Yes.
Okay. And that's so they can have tissue expanders where they get more tissue to work with?
It's so that they can actually debulk and take out tissue.
Uh-huh.
And so it'll get slimmed down to an extent.
Okay. And what's your attitude and mindset during that 6-month period? What do you think about? What do you focus on?
I try to stay busy because I think that keeping my mind off of things as much as I can helps, and also just being around people who care about me, and my 2 dogs at home have been therapy for me because they don't leave my side, and they're amazing.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people would say, I wouldn't want to be around any animals, or I'd become a cat woman or something. And then we see a picture of you there with your face up against a dog. How do you feel about that, being around a dog like that?
I'm not generally scared of dogs. It's certain breeds that I will now stay completely away from. And there's just triggers that come with that, with certain breeds. With my dogs, they're very calm, and they've been trained from the beginning.
Right. So this dog here, is this a golden?
It's a lab mix.
Uh-huh. And you trust this dog 100%?
Absolutely. I've had her for 12 years.
The attack occurred on December 23rd, 2021. Her birthday is December 24th. She turned 22 as she was barely alive. She had lost both ears, her nose, her cheeks, her upper lip, and her chin had been pulled away.
And later,
I play it back in my head trying to find something that would make sense. There was nothing that caused the dog to snap. He actually sprung off the ground, and he was probably attacking me for 60 seconds.
Are these your parents here?
Yes.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Dr. Phil.
Tell me how you guys have gotten through this and dealt with this. I know you have to have great admiration for the strength and spirit of your daughter here. So, John, what was it like when you found out what had happened and seeing what happened to your baby girl here?
Well, Dr. Phil, the attack actually occurred exactly 14 months to the day, and it's a moment that's frozen in time, in our lifetime, and will be forever. And when we got to the hospital, she was in the middle of undergoing 8 hours of life-saving surgery. We didn't find out until actually The attack occurred on December 23rd, 2021. Her birthday is December 24th. The clock moved past midnight. She turned 22 as she was barely alive, laying on the table. We found out that she had lost both ears, her nose, her cheeks, her jaw muscles, her upper lip, and her chin had been pulled away and was hanging from her skull and facial structure. So for us, it's been living day to day. It's been just absolutely blessed, first of all, by her survival, her courage. I know I'm her dad, but I can tell you I've never known a more courageous person than my daughter. And I see it every day, and I see the response that she elicits from followers all over the world. And the attitude that she has, no doubt, is helping her healing process. You know, as she lay in a coma for 8 days, her mother and I and the rest of our family just kept wondering, how are we going to be strong for her? And what it's been is she has been so strong for us. She, just her being with us and so much in tune with looking at the future, her future. She was 3 semesters shy of graduating with her undergraduate degree. She's now back in school, taking a couple classes online. She just found out she started working at an internship where she can do that in a hybrid fashion. She is a miracle on top of miracles, and we are just so blessed and grateful that she's here with us today.
As I say, Robin and I have a home in Dallas, and so we became aware of this the second it happened, and we've been following it very, very closely. And I think we're in contact with y'all a long time ago. She wasn't in any position to talk about it, but we just were in contact to let y'all know. And so I've watched the progress along the way, and it's, as I say, you know, different people call on different strengths to get along, and it truly is inspirational. I mean, people watch this and go, I've had people I've talked to about it that have said things to me like, I'll never complain about anything again ever in my life. Not a sore foot, not a bad knee, not anything, when you see the strength and spirit. And it's the same way with you guys. Mom, what's it been like for you? It's got to be hard to watch this.
It is.
We're just so blessed to have her still. It's just been, she's truly amazing. It's been hard.
Yeah, and you know, surely there have to be times where, you know, you've thought, how can she take any more? I mean, how can you go through, first wake up and find out what's happened to you,
right,
and then look at this road ahead and not know what the outcome is going to be, and go through this time and time again, but she just doesn't ever seem to break.
She never did. And we lost her multiple times on the table. We didn't know that till months later. And just to know how strong she is, I knew she was going to be okay. And from day one, when we got to see her that first time, we just dove in and hadn't stopped.
Yeah.
And as John said, we thought we were going to be strong for her. She's been so strong.
Some dogs can care less, come and let you take all the TVs, and some of them won't let you step 1 foot in the house, you know, so it's very important to know the temperament of your animal.
What do you have to say to dog owners? Do you think you put pressure on yourself to stay strong for your parents?
I don't think as much as people think I could, because they know that I'm very blunt to the point, very truthful, and another reason why I don't want to be, I want to show my feelings is because social media usually hides everything that is bad, and I want to make it a point on social media that there are times where you just can't hide it, and it's good to see the bad, because there's no way there's 100% good in someone's life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's, I can tell you, having a specialty in behavioral medicine, the point at which your psychological functioning and your physiological functioning merge, it's not a weakness to be vulnerable. And, there are times when it's okay to let them hold you up and not have to, steal against everything every day. It's okay to, don't seem to have it today. It's okay to let others hold you up sometimes and not have to be strong every single day, because you got a loving support system here that cares about you, and that's part of being real as well. And I can tell you that the attitude that you have is such an outcome determinative factor with all that you're going through. This attitude has such an impact on what the end result will be, because seriously, you heal faster, you move through the process so much better, and you will have so much better outcome when you've got the attitude that you have. And the treatments that we have today are so much better. And what do you have to say to dog owners? You heard what I was saying to Valina earlier, and Josh was saying about dog owners have to be responsible, but having been through what you've been through, what do you have to say to dog owners?
I think it's the most important thing to communicate with visitors, sitters, whoever it is who walk into their homes, to understand their pet's behavior and to acknowledge it and to make sure that they communicate it to those people.
Yeah, and be real about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, if there's an issue. The dog we had for 13 years that we lost before the two we have now was a Korean Jindo, and was incredibly protective of us and wouldn't bother anybody for any reason, but didn't want anybody petting her. And we would tell everybody, don't pet the dog. Dog will never bother you. Just don't reach down, because the dog questioned the intent. We'd reach down. So we told everybody we knew, don't pet the dog. And some people would say, oh, I'm great with dogs. Not with this one, you're not. Don't pet this dog. We told everybody. And it was great. But you got to tell people. You got to know your dog and tell people about your dog. And Josh, you say dogs can get really aggressive in the home because they're territorial, right? That's their job. They're protecting.
Yeah, well, that's one of the characteristics. There's 16 dimensions of temperament, and one of them is the territoriality. And some dogs can care less, come and let you take all the TVs, and some of them won't let you step 1 foot in the house. So it's very important to know the temperament of your animal.
Yeah, and different breeds have it in to different degrees, right?
Absolutely. You have to understand that a lot of dogs were originally bred to be guard dogs and to, have that kind of herding mentality. Or these certain dogs were, for example, pit bulls. They are bred to fight each other, and that's the reality. And a lot of people tend to humanize these dogs when, in fact, they need to keep in mind that this is a predatory animal and that they're not humans, and you can't let them have all those type of privileges, because they will have a certain amount of entitlement, and it will contribute to dominant behavior. That can then get dangerous.
Yeah. What do you have here?
This is my boy Slash. This is one of my dogs, my pride and joy. Great dog, trained in full protection, but has the ability to turn it off and to totally be social with kids and people and whatever. So it's really about understanding the temperament and making sure that you're compensating for your dog's characteristics.
Mm-hmm. Seems pretty well behaved.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. When you see a dog like this that's clearly under control, and are you comfortable with that?
Yes. Especially with a professional on the other end of the leash.
Yeah. Yeah, you like to know that for sure. We're going to meet Brooklyn, who says she was petting her cousin's dog when he just snapped and attacked her. We're going to add her to this story when we come back.
I went and acted in the bathroom, and then that was the first time I actually had looked at myself in the mirror. And the only way I can describe myself was looking like a skeleton. You see straight up through my nose and then just all my teeth.
Closed captioning provided by Okay. Today we're talking about the rise in dog attacks in recent years. Now, 23-year-old Brooklyn is another victim. She says 2 years ago she was visiting her family when their dog just snapped, causing major injuries to her face.
Crazy how your life can change in a split second. I don't have any pain, kind of hard to talk. I look like a skeleton.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brooklyn Corey. I was attacked by a pit bull. We weren't playing, he was just sitting and I was kind of petting his head, telling him how good of a boy he was. I was standing up. I turned around and I turned back and he literally like lunged at my face, shaking my head like a dog, and then he finally released my head. Something fell on the ground. We went and picked it up, and it was my lip with my nose and the top part of my lip attached. It took 11 minutes to get to the hospital. So they sewed all my skin to the inner parts of my gums, and my nose they had to sew down. The first day I came back from the hospital, I was looking at myself in the mirror. My parents are helping me get my face dressing on. And I looked at them in front of the mirror and I like almost had a breakdown because it just kind of hit me. I was scared of myself, but in a week I've learned to just love myself, accept what I look like right now, and just know like this is not what I'm gonna look like for the rest of my life.
Well, Brooklyn, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Have you met each
Yes.
other backstage?
No. So when I first got into the attack, I wasn't able to find like anyone online that had gone through something similar or somebody that was experiencing what I was going through. So I started posting my story in case that, unfortunately, if someone was going through it, they could be able to relate. And a lot of times when I was just posting my stuff, I was just posting it to see the progress and how I was going to heal. But I ended up getting a message and messaging Jacqueline because I had noticed that she was going through something. And I'm pretty sure you reached out to me and was like, hey, I'm seeing your story. Like, you know, we were able to just, I think, relate based on what we're both going through. So,
Oh, okay, great.
yeah.
Well, now you meet in person.
I know,
so
it's great. We were having so much fun backstage, so.
that's great. So this, like we've talked about before, was nothing, no red flags. You didn't see anything coming at all.
No, not at all.
You were just petting this dog, say, good boy, good boy.
Yeah, I was
and you'd turn around and boom.
Yeah, I was standing in the kitchen. I play it back in my head trying to find something that would make sense. No dog toy, no dog bowl. There was nothing that caused the dog to snap or act aggressively. But I was petting his head and I turned to look at my cousin and I turned back and he actually sprung off the ground and my fight or flight kicked in. I was going in kind of like a sumo wrestling position, just holding his head and just going wherever he went. He was probably attacking me for like 60 seconds and then finally felt a release. Then something flew and hit the wall and then dropped on the ground. And then I just noticed blood and yeah.
Wow. And when he finally released and so you got away from him and there was space between you, what did the dog do then?
He started making really crazy sounds. I always relate it to Stranger Things, the Demogorgon sound. It was just very vicious and like just weird noises. So I told my cousin at the time, I was like, I need to go, like, he's gonna attack me again. She kept saying, he's gonna attack you again, he's gonna attack you again. So I went and actually hid into the bathroom, and then that was the first time I actually had looked at myself in the mirror. And the only way I can describe myself was kind of looking like a skeleton. You could just see straight up through my nose and then just all my teeth, so.
Right. And you said once he got a hold of you, he was shaking back and forth like tug of war, dog toy jerking you around back and forth.
Yeah, he was taking my head, going back and forth, and then he started going back and forth like this, and then back and forth again. And then that's when I was able to get him off.
What would trigger a dog to do this?
There's usually some kind of warning sign somewhere in the dog's behavior. Thing is that the signs are there, but we can't be in denial.
Closed captioning provided by...
How do I love thee? Let me count the ways.
Love can get a little messy. Good thing there's Resolve. Love the love, resolve the mess.
Looking for a bladder leak pad that keeps you dry?
All of the things that you're looking for in a pad, that is always discreet. Look at how it absorbs all the liquid and locking it right on in. You feel no wetness.
Oh my gosh.
Totally absorbed.
I gotta get some Always Discreet.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Non-drowsy Claritin knocks out symptoms from over 200 allergens without knocking you out. Feel the clarity and make today the most wonderful time of the year. Live Claritin Clear.
I wonder, how does 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner even work?
Something on your mind? Chew on it. Twizzlers.
Some luxury creams just sit on top of skin, but Olay goes 10 surface layers deep. Our clinically proven hydration beats the $500 cream to strengthen my skin for smoother, brighter results. Your best skin yet, Olay.
It's nothing.
Sounds like something.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto-Bismol coats and soothes for fast relief when you need it most.
There's a lot of expectations on this football team.
To achieve the results we want, it doesn't happen on game day, it happens today.
Push each other. Make it hurt. It's time to rewrite our story.
I find it funny when people think they can define me.
Because I'm more than just one me.
There's the one that loves to escape into new worlds.
There's the one who likes to laugh.
And the one with the wild side.
I need a fire breather.
Dragon! There are many sides to you.
And they all deserve the best. Introducing Max, the one to watch.
Detroit. This is Love and Marriage, Detroit.
Like excellence. Let's get the party going. Let's go.
I'm a fashion designer, social media influencer. We're both parents, like 50-50.
So I'll be at the club tonight.
Do what you want.
I got my Berry Gordy Jr. on.
Russell shared Brandon had a new artist.
You gotta learn how to keep your mouth shut, bro.
I'm changing my career to be on the chaplain.
I am not trying to be nobody's first lady.
If she would have said no, I probably would have still done it.
I'm Dr. Latoya Thompson, physical therapist. I'm the owner of Opulence Wines.
I invested in you with Opulence.
Built the money together.
It came from me, though. This is time for the men to take lead.
Why not have a mentor?
Marceau.
You have to be the movement. I'm not even joking.
You are holding me back.
I'm not happy.
I just want everybody to have my back.
Do not call my husband.
I broke every bone in your body.
So let's do what I do. Nobody knows what you do.
They're fake as hell.
Love and Marriage Detroit. New episode Saturday at 8/7 Central.
Gus, what's happening at this point? I mean, this is a dog that's her cousin's dog. She's not a total stranger. She's petting the dog, so there's not anything aggressive or confrontational between the two. She's not like locked into a stare contest or anything. And then, boom, it goes off. You've got fear, protection, territoriality, food, all these things that can trigger. It seems like none of these were in play at the time. What would trigger a dog to do this?
Well, a big thing that people tend to ignore, there's usually some kind of warning sign somewhere in the dog's behavior. So whoever owns the dog, most likely there was something, but dogs don't speak. You have to read their body language. So a lot of times it could be fearful. Sometimes it could just be dominant. Sometimes they're just getting away. I remember going to a friend's house one time, and this pit bull ran up on me, and I said, somebody better watch that dog. It's a party. I said, somebody's gonna watch that dog. That dog is gonna cause a problem at this party. And it kind of came and like checked me, and it was kind of like a little dominant check. And I said, oh, and they just have this